Hi folks, Esther Diver number 1 here on a very windy day, and today I am hopefully replacing this pool pump. It is 21 years old and it barely works, and I just want to let you know that this is not a how-to video. I'm not a qualified electrician. That's why you saw the warning signs in the beginning of the video. If electricity and water is something you're not comfortable working with, please make sure to have this done by a professional. This video is just for entertainment purposes only. So this pump does still work. It's very loud, as you'll hear here in a second. But again, it's 21 years old, and unfortunately I can't find a jacuzzi in this type still available on the market. I believe this one was discontinued about 10 years ago. But as you can see, I kind of need to replace this pump sooner rather than later. And also, if you guys know anywhere I can find granulated chlorine, please leave a link down in the description. So I picked up this 1.5 horsepower Everbilt. It has the 1.5 inch discharge and intakes, which the other pump has. Unfortunately, it's a different brand. I believe it's a little different in height and the width between the intake and the discharge, so I'm gonna have to do some plastic finagling. That's okay. The most of this plastic needs to be replaced anyhow. It's 21 years old and sitting out in the sun, so it's quite brittle. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the pool pump, and that way I can leave the pool pump running, and when I turn the breaker off to kill the power, I will know that the breaker is off because the pump will cut off. And I'll also use this little tester right here. I'll confirm that the tester works. It is working. Like I said, it's still working, but man, that motor is getting real loud. And it's got all kinds of air leaks. The plastic is just old and warped. But it still bubbles things up. Alright, so it should be this top breaker right here. Alright, the breaker turned it off as expected. The tester is not picking up any current. We'll just double test our tester. It's working there. And again, nothing here. Yeah, so before I start disconnecting the power and cutting it away from the plastic, I'm just going to make sure that this unit is at least intact and didn't get destroyed during shipping. Ooh, pretty. So looking at this, the distance between here and here is the same, so that should work out fine. Unfortunately, the new pump is close to an inch shorter, so I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that. I would rather just keep it on the solid concrete there. I can drop the discharge pipe, but the intake pipe is kind of set in stone, or in concrete at least. It would be difficult to drop. Also, my ground wire here is unfortunately way forward on this one. I'll have to I guess put an extension on that ground wire. I'll have to look into that. And then otherwise, the conduit going into the motor is on the same side on both pumps. Alright, so I'm just going to cut the plastic off and get the pump out. I'm up against the house here. I don't know, probably about 18 inches, and just easier for me to get the cover off with the pump out of the way. The backwash system here that I've only used once or twice, and I'm just going to get rid of it, delete it entirely. So I'm going to cut right here and give me enough room for a cap possibly. And then the discharge line I'm going to cut right here. It'll give me plenty of room to work with couplings. And then the intake line I'm going to cut as close to this collar as possible. That'll get all the high water draining. And for this filter backwash, which again I'm omitting, I'm going to cut it over here to give me more room. And on the pool side intake, I'm going to go as close as I can to this coupling. Alright, now I can move the pump and get this cover off easier. So these two screws here that hold this plastic cover on where our power supply comes in, they are rusted to death, so I'm going to have to cut those off. Alright, so now that cover's off. This is a 240 system, and we just got these three wires here. The red one, the black one, and the green ground. Alright, so this is going to be the fun part. As I said earlier, I'm going to be off by a few inches here. And normally I could do that with the plumbing, but I would have to tear up this concrete because I don't have any pipe to cut and attach to. So the back wouldn't be a problem. I could just lower the fitting. But the front, you know, basically the motor's going to have to come up a few inches. Generally you want to set it down on the concrete, but I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, well, found some concrete laying around, and that's going to be just the height that I need. So the next thing is to dry fit all the plumbing fittings. So the new Everbilt pump comes with a check valve for the output, but I already have two inline check valves in the system, so we're going to omit that. Disconnect fittings right here. You're going to need 2 1.5-inch male adapters. This can glue right onto here, and then thread into here, thread into here, then a short piece of pipe, and a 90. So around here, if you need some parts, just wander around the woods for about 5 minutes and you'll find it. Actually, this is a part of a rooftop heater for the pool. It lasted about 5 years. Then the exchanger started leaking like a sieve, so I took it out. But we'll take a few parts from this. Alright, now that I'm satisfied with the dry fit, I'm going to go ahead and take this apart so I can move the motor again and then hook up the wiring. Alright, so a few issues here. One, the conduit where it threads in only gets in a few threads and then hits up against this power block here, which is, I don't understand what's up with that. And then of course my ground wire on this one barely reaches, and the other two wires are, you know, 6 inches too long. So I think I'm gonna end up going to the hardware store. That's gonna kill an hour and a half, but see if I can find a couple of blades that'll fit that, and I can cut these wires and make it neat. Okay, so these by the way are called female angle disconnects, and for a 14 to 16 AWG wire, and they're gonna work just perfectly. Alright, I think I'm gonna cut this red wire right there. Now this wire here, which way should I go? You just want to make sure the bare part of the wire is all the way up against the opposite end, and you really got to squeeze them hard. You don't want that wire coming out. You just want to make sure it won't pull out. All right. So I'm going to call it a day on this. I just want to be able to show you guys it start up and run, so it's going to take a few hours for the glue to dry, so I'll do that in the morning, and then we'll go from there. Alright, on to the gluing. And this is something I do have a lot of experience with. Years ago I worked for a mechanical company. Some days I would glue together 100 PVC fittings. So what I'm going to do is start at the intake side over here, and because that's more critical to me, and I'll start there, get that all assembled, and then on the output side over here I have some flexibility in that pipe there, so that'll be easier to glue. So I'm going to add some Teflon tape to this. That should do. And then these two right here are getting put together. I just want to make sure this here is burr free, so we'll just hit it real quick with some sandpaper. And I want to make sure this collar's here so I can go over after I glue it. I can slide it over. So I'm going to hit both parts with some cleaner. It's a very important step. I'm going to make sure that these surfaces are clean, and also this tends to soften up the plastic a little bit. I'm going to hit this with some cleaner, and that'll dry almost instantly. Now this part here, you want to be ready. As soon as I put the glue on, that dries pretty quickly. I'm going to want to put the two pieces together, give it about a quarter to a third twist, if possible, and that just helps the glue seal better. So we'll hit this with glue first, hit this one second, no going back. Push and twist, then just hold it a few seconds. And I'm going to let this set up about 15 minutes or so before I go ahead and put this collar on and put the pump on. Alright, we gave it 15-20 minutes for good handling strength. And now we can just pull this up. Discharge side, I guess I'll go ahead and put this coupling in first, and then I'm going to use my recycled piece of forest pipe, and then go into this fitting second. That way I can still get that twist when I put the pipes together. Should work. And the same deal, I'm going to Teflon tape this fitting together first. That last piece didn't twist in as I would have liked, but it'll be fine. Lots of glue, big pipes. Alright, we're going to give it a few hours and see if it works. Alright, so the PVC cement has had 3 hours to dry, so we should be good to fire this up. Last thing I have to do is go ahead and put on the grounding wire extension. So you just want to make sure that those black unions are both tight, and next thing to do is fill it with water to prime it. And before I turn the brake around, I'm going to make sure that this switch is in the off position, which it is. Alright, so moment of truth. I may have a few leaks from those fittings at the bottom of the filter, just because they were disturbed, but I don't expect any other leaks. Here we go. Wow, that is a lot quieter than the last one. We're up to about 6-7 pounds of pressure. Look at all the stuff that basket's got in it already. Any major leaks, they would have shown up. I am quite happy, so I hope you folks have a good day. And next time you see this pool, it'll be blue. Told ya.